so that takes into the third event, the 1RM snatch. 60, the top weight hit was 145. The output score of it I thought was optimal, given that it was near your max training weights. So going into the competition, I think you said you hadn't snatched more than 135.
Correct.
Yeah. And then given the issues of the wrist, so I think we actually had this conversation in the stadium when we were done, was that if you had been hitting 200, 205 in training and then gone out on the floor and come up with 145,
yeah,
that would have been a different score for this conversation. But since you had only been training at 135, that's the most that you could handle with load. I think that the output was near max, so we have an optimal score there. The execution side, I thought was suboptimal, given that it was technique limiting.
For sure.
You know, so we missed. I think we had 2 attempts at
135.
Missed those both.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Dropped one forward, dropped the one back.
Yeah.
And then we took a few attempts at 145 as well. So the execution was suboptimal. An optimal score would have been hitting the weights in the first attempt, so like hitting 135, hitting 145, and then maybe having an attempt at 155.
Which I had an attempt at 55. A couple of times. Yeah,
something like that.
Just not there. I mean, it just, there was no confidence for that at all. And coming back to that, legs, just I had nothing. It was like there was a domino effect, I think, from the first workout, which, we had that convo too about the, and this is all in like gaming the actual event to get your best result, is that if you're not a strong runner, and there was quite a few not strong runners, that I think they just use the run as a training run, and that was a 35 minute like aerobic training run, and then hit the deadlift, rope climb and snatch, which is all good. If I had a really strong deadlift, rope climb and snatch, I'd be doing the same thing. Sure, yeah. But if you had you were good in all three, that's where you're going to be at the top of the field and probably on the podium.
I think that future considerations would be the technique work on the snatch. I think that, you know, in the past year, just from what I've seen, that the snatch has come a long way. Just the technical, like, you know, the smoothness, the speed through the midline, that was always an issue. So the improvement was, I think, 100%, and the output was close to near max. So what more could you ask? From the event, you know.
It's the luck of the draw. It's like the cards that are dealt. Just in regard to, like, let's come back to the qualifier. The qualifier had a 4-rep front squat. That's a wheelhouse event for me. 300 double unders, wheelhouse event. So the qualification is as much the same as the games. It's whatever the cards are dealt and they fall in your lap, you're going to do well in or you're not going to do well in. So if there was a handstand walk, muscle up, a snatch in the qualifier, I'm not going to the games. I'm not going to be nowhere near. So, yeah.
Speaking of handstand walks, mate.
Let's come to the next event, shall we?
So,
Wednesday morning.
So Wednesday morning, event 4 takes us into the bike, GHD squats, handstand walk. 16th, we were capped on the handstand walk. You know, mate, this is more of I couldn't really make my mind up on this event, you know, so I said the output was optimal, you know, given that the handstand walk only came into the training late, and that you were only doing 10-foot segments in training. So given that it was a 42-foot, I mean, I think it was a touch and go. Like, I'm not sure what your thoughts were going in, but my thoughts in my head was, I wasn't certain. I was like, he's either going to do it or he's not.
Right. Likewise.
That was a 50-50. The execution, I thought, was suboptimal in regards to the element being like the skill element of the handstand walk. But with regard to training, it's optimal. Given the injury of the wrist and shoulder and the way that the training was happening in 10-foot segments versus the actual 42-foot. But more curious to get your thoughts on sort of what the take was. I remember the frustration during the event of you know, so you had the 3 attempts to reach the 42 feet, remember probably after 6 or 7 attempts, having going back to the start, just the raw care. I think we got so emotional because you care so much about the result, you care so much about doing well, about exhibiting your true fitness. And someone actually made a comment. I don't know who it was, mate. I don't know who it was, but you kept on going up and trying, and even to the last second. I think we made an attempt at the last second.
Yeah.
And someone said he's not going to stop until the time is up. And I think that to me summed up the event. Was just this display of character. It was not much of a display of skill, but there was a massive display. There was a massive display of character, which I would argue in some senses is probably more revealing than anything else, because when things were really going bad, there was still this continual, without hesitation, not for 1 second did you check out. And this is something that you've spoken to us about in the rugby days, was not checking out. You're down 40 points, and you don't stop playing. You play until the final whistle as if you were up. And that, this is, if any of the rugby guys are watching this, I witnessed it firsthand, of you just continually just knocking on the door and not stopping. Almost probably knowing that you might not do it, that you might not even get through that first set. So that was real. I don't know what the word is. It felt like passionate about that. Felt proud. I felt a lot of emotional. This is what Ben's been saying for years. Don't check out. Keep on pushing forward.
Yeah. Yeah, the workout excited me. It also created some sort of, I'm not going to say fear. It was, I was really excited about it because I had been doing some handstand walks in training, and they had felt really good on the hands. I've been doing a lot of stability work in the 4-week period before getting into the intensive phase leading up to the games, where I was just like, wow, I actually feel really good on the hands here. And the new standard of getting within 42 feet within 3 attempts, or you had to go back to the line, was a real okay. It's game day. See what you got. Yeah. What excited me about that, even though it was very, very defeating purpose of thing after the fact, is that to be in a position off the bike, off 42 GHDs, off 42 sit-ups, I look across the floor and I'm in 3rd position. It's like, okay, I can, and it was if I got through the handstand, it was another 42 sandbag squats. So again, it comes down to what's in your jam, and there was stuff that was really in the jam at the front end, but you had an absolute challenge, or a real, I call it an absolute challenge right in front of me, and I really wanted to attack it. I felt good on the hands the first time. I'm like, oh, this feels good. The turf felt good. Here we go, and I got a good 10 to 12 feet, and then another, we got close on the 3rd run, maybe 25, 30 foot, and then back to the start. And I think that from that point onward, I did a couple of good kick-ups, but it was just a strength endurance piece on the upper body that was not used to that relentless attempts. So about 8 minutes on that or so, maybe 9, I don't know. But I think it's a great learning curve, and it was a good, a very good opportunity to experience some handstand walks under fatigue, and just a very emotional challenge as well.
Yeah. So you sort of had this I thought up until that point that was a real lull in the energy in the competition, and then they announced the 5th event, which was the 500-meter swim. It just felt to me like there was this salivating energy that was coming out going into that, and it wasn't an overconfidence, it was like this ready to rumble kind of a feeling, and I think that's the way you attack this event. There was a couple of things that really just connected for me. Was the connection to your roots. just for a moment in the competition, it just transcended the space that we were in.
Yeah.
It really, I felt like you were connecting to something in your history, which was deeper than what we were doing. And
Sure.
to give the output execution, I think the output was maximized, and I think the execution was also maximized. There was a second place in that, and it came down to a foot race for second, third.
Yeah.
I think the guy in front was also a similar situation as the run. He was on the day, just stronger. I don't think there would have, I don't know, this is something we probably ask you, is if you thought there was more in the tank to hang along with him, or if he was just putting out too much to hang.
Yeah. The leader.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he was in the lead.
No,
Because I was in the lead, and I was from the very get-go, I was just porpoising through the water, and because it was such a short swim, I only had after I finished porpoising, and then I was at that second can to another can in front, I just started swimming, and I came around it, and I couldn't believe when I finally came up back to porpoising on the way back in, when I thought I was now competing with the guy for second and third. The Italian, he's like about 20 metres in front, he's looking back at me, I said, how the hell did he get up there?
So you didn't even know that he was ahead of you?
No, and I actually thought that I was like, thoughts in my head, did he actually go around the can?
Didn't even know that.
In post-event though, I actually watched the event back home, and I listened to his interview, and very similar to myself, as we've grown up in the water, he'd played water polo since 7 years of age, and so he's had a lot of deep experience in the water, and he actually said, he goes, it wasn't even a competition for me, it was almost like a training swim. showed it too, because in such a short swim for his distance in front, he blew the field away.
Yeah.
And he won the event.
Yeah.
He won in the run as well. Boom. Out front. Yeah, strong.
Mate, so that for me was when you were coming out the water and you were jockeying for that second, third place, and you finished, and there was just this like raw emotion, this kind of like, this is what we came here for.
Yeah.
I felt like if the weekend had ended there, like I'm saying, like if that's all we take from the weekend, I think just looking, I have this tendency to try and be positive and optimistic about these sort of things. I think that really made, at least for me, the trip was worth it. Even if that didn't happen, it would have been worth it, but that really just put the stamp down and said, okay, cool, whatever happens from here on out, it doesn't matter. I just got to see that and see that like raw passion coming through the line. And I was going crazy on the side, and JK was going crazy, and Alex and Jerry were just like, it was this raw like passion. And when you came over and you gave like the fist, it was just, it just put the stamp down, mate, and to see that passion come to life and just to feel that, you've spoken a lot about this before, about just caring, and I could tell in that moment that this is something you've dedicated your life to, and that it's more than just a paycheck or a way to get by or a job. This is like in your bones, mate, like this fitness story and this pursuit of what you want to say, like a higher order living or being. It's in you, and that it was shown right there. That emotion just came out, mate.
Yeah, it was. Thanks, mate. I hadn't even thought about that. Well, to have you guys in the support structure too. It's when you have some good experiences or even some not so good ones, you can, when you come off and you can see it in the faces, and I'm sure you can feel my emotions, and as much as I've spoken about just, and from my past experiences, not being too high and too low, like this is an almighty high, right? But shit, I needed it.
I will say that you kept saying, don't want to be too high, don't want to be too high. You kept saying that, like just settle down, but I think that it was out of control, the passion and the joy that was just coming from it. I mean, how could you not?
100%. It was, yeah, tough being in the cellar, in last place at that stage. So to be able to have an opportunity to claw out was something that I loved to do. It was an awesome event.
So, yeah, so
favourite event.
yeah.